Okay, so this would be the Unit 4 module packet, or Unit 4 packet. If you're looking through here, this was talking about a function. And the main things you need to understand about a function are going to be included on your Unit 4 test. I'll go over that at the very end here. If you have your Unit 4 test, that should have been in an email to you. Then you can look over that to help you study. Journal entry, you will not have one of these. As far as a table goes, you're going to be given a scenario, and I'll go over that in just a second as well. Peaches and plums, we talked about the slope here, and you may have one that looks like this as far as comparing the slopes. So this is something to pay attention to. But I'm more interested in the word problems that I want to give you. You will have some that's independent and dependent. And what you got to remember is that the dependent depends on independent. So if you look at these examples, the height of the grass in the yard over the summer, the independent variable would be the number of days you don't mow or something like that. And then the dependent would be the height of the grass. Because if you don't mow for 10 days, the height of the grass would depend on that. If you don't mow for 15, then it would be a little bit higher. So things like that, you will have some of those examples. Coffee by the pound, I'll show you what kind of word problems you're going to have here, but task 4, it won't be set up exactly like that. Same thing for task number 5. Okay, and this is something that will be sort of what you see, that task. This is more like the problem that you might see. I might ask you to interpret what these different things means. I'm going to go over one of those in just a second. Same thing. I would look over those just to give you some examples, but I think the ones I'm going to do in just a minute will suffice. Will be fine. Yeah. You need to look at this independent practice. We did this one in class. If you want to pause the video and read that. But it essentially means that his earnings is going to be $600 per yard he mows, but you have to subtract out what he spent on his materials. So I would ask you to give me something like this off of a word problem. And that's just giving the equation and then moving on. And then the line of best fit, less than 6, you do not have to do. You don't have to worry about that. What I would like for you to concentrate on is the questions that I gave you in your Unit 4 test. Again, this is on an email that I sent you. Functions or not of functions, remember these are so for example, if I drew a vertical line right here on this one, I would hit 2 points, so that means it's not a function. Right here, I would hit more than 1 point when I drew a vertical line, so that's not a function. This one would be a function because a vertical line would only hit 1 point. So those are the ones you have to pay attention to. These are the ones that are a little bit tricky. You have to determine if you put in an x value, are you going to get a unique y value? So if you got something like this equation right here. Okay, what kind of, sorry, not that equation, let me do another one. If I gave you something like this, if I put in an x value of, let's say, 2, so if x equaled 2, then y would equal 4. Is anything in the whole wide world going to give me something that would make this not a function? Well, if I put in a negative 2 for x, I would have that. So negative 2 squared would also be 4. But if you think about that, 2, 4 would be here, and negative 2, 4 would be here. That's okay. That's still a function. So there's nothing that I could put in for x that would give me 2y. There's no x value that would be the same that would give me a different y value. Now, if I had something like this, well, that is the opposite of kind of what we're doing over here. It's the inverse of it. If I had 4 for x, what two things could give me that? Well, if I squared 2, I would get 4. So my y at that point would be 2. And then if I squared negative 2, I would get 4. So this one, if I graphed it, would be 4, 2, and 4, negative 2, and that would not pass the vertical line test. So this is not a function, and this is a function. You will have some like that. Okay, you will have some that gives you the equation. Okay. These are excellent questions here, which is the independent and dependent variable. And you will definitely have some like this. I will do one problem with you. If you have more questions, let me know. So the only thing that you won't have on this is domain and range. I will only ask you the meaning of the slope, the y-intercept, and the x-intercept. So for this problem, it went ahead and solved for A for you. So A is the number, if you'll pause it and read it, that would be great. But A is the number of adult tickets Austin purchased, and C is the number of child tickets Austin purchased. Now, I will not give you credit if you tell me A is adult. A is not adult. A is the number of adult tickets. So you have to include the word number and you have to include the word tickets to get full credit there. Now, if I give you something like that, and this equation ended up being A equals negative 7/15 C plus 8.93. The C is acting as the X and the A is acting like the Y. So this is the number of child tickets purchased. And this is the number of adult tickets purchased. So that is very important in learning how to understand the slope, the y-intercept, and the x-intercept. So let's go ahead and do that. So the slope, interpret the slope and give me a sentence that means the slope. Remember, this is just to help you remember how to do the slope and interpret it. Slope is y over x, the rise over run. So this is y over x because you subtract your y's and you subtract your x's on the bottom. Subtract the y's on the top and x's on the bottom. So this is just something to help you memorize what we're doing here. So all you have to do is interpret what this means in terms of y. Y is this variable. Number of adult tickets sold. And x is the C variable, which is the number of child tickets sold. Now, when you're interpreting the slope, I suggest that you put a sign here. So what this means is that you can decrease the number of adult tickets that you buy by $7, by 7 tickets. You could increase the number of child tickets that you buy by 15. So, for example, for every 7 adult tickets you do not have to buy, you could buy 15 more child tickets. And that means you would be spending still $134. So that is in context of that problem. Okay, so for every 7 adult tickets you do not have to buy, which that signifies the negative, do not, you could purchase 15 more more would be in the positive there, child tickets. So that would be the sentence. Y-intercept would be when you put in 0 for C, because 0 is our X value, and solved. So that Y-intercept would be 0, 8.93. And remember, it's the same thing. This is an X, so this is the number of child tickets. I'll just point here. And this is the number of adult tickets purchased. So just interpret that. If you purchase 0 child tickets, you could purchase 8.93 adult tickets. Now, obviously, you can't purchase that much of a ticket, but that is what that intercept means in its literal meaning. Now, to find the X-intercept, you would put 0 in for A. Now, think about solving for this. If you're solving for C here, that's a little bit harder math than what I did up here. But if you go back and you grab this one, 15A plus 7C equals 134. If you go back and pull that one, and you put 0 in for A here, that gives me a little bit easier math. Now, it's going to work the same way as if you subtract 8.93, and then divide it by negative 7/15. It works the same. But on this one, all you have to do is divide 134 by 7. And 134 divided by 7 is 19.14. So that means you put 0 in for the Y value, or the A, and you got 19.14, 0. So the physical interpretation of that, 19.14 is your X, which is your child. So if you purchase 19.14 child tickets, you can purchase 0 adult tickets and still spend $134. So the main thing to do to study for your final is to study this test. And again, that's in your email somewhere, and you do not have to study the domain and range. It's only A, B, C, and D. Okay? Or those first ones. Interpret the slope, Y-intercept, and X-intercept. Look at your independent and dependent, and then look at functions. That's essentially what's going to come from Unit 4.